Hello, and welcome to Seroptimus International Voices, where we give a global voice to women and girls. SI Voices is a space where women's stories and issues are heard as we celebrate 100 years of our remarkable organization. We will reveal and rediscover the history of our global movement while educating and informing on many of the key challenges affecting women and girls today. Hi, I'm Dawn Marie Lemonds. I'm a seroptimist and I live in Tustin, California. I'm really pleased today to have my friend and past international president, Mariet Verhoef-Cohen, as our guest to address the very important issue of water, women, and leadership. Now, I have to admit that I had not really understood the breadth of the issue of water until I met Mariet. And she's really educated and inspired so many of us about the intersection of water with almost every issue facing our planet. Today, we're going to touch on the topic of water and how they particularly impact women. I'm convinced that the issue of water will become even more personal to each of you when you hear Mariet tell some of her stories. Now, Mariet, before we jump into the water, so to speak, tell us a bit about yourself and what led you to become a seroptimist.
Okay, Dawn, thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. And when moving to the Netherlands, I was asked to join SI Club Zwolle. And I was, and still am, a strong believer and advocate in empowering women, in gender equality. And I felt women needed to have a voice. I always said that. They needed to be heard to make decisions. And I felt that the Seroptimus organization had those same goals. So what more did I want? I just joined, and I'm still a member, I think now for about 25 years.
Now, of all the topics, really, there's so many topics impacting women that you could have chosen as a focus of your Seroptimus leadership. What led you to the topic of water?
Well, first of all, I live in the Netherlands. I've got the Dutch nationality. Netherlands is a low country. The lowest point in our country is 7 meters below sea level. And half of the Netherlands, which is 70 million inhabitants, live alongside the coastline. Or in regions that are below that sea level. For centuries, my country has been artificially held together by dikes, pumps, and polders, and sea levels that are now rising on an average of 3 millimeters per year, risk overwhelming our water defense. If this happens, it is estimated that 60% of our country could be flooded. So when I became SIE Federation President, that was very easy to choose a theme. So SI Europe at the time had 68 countries in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, and Africa. So there were issues with water in all of these countries. Too much water, polluted water, water scarcity, drought. So it was an easy decision for me to get all these members involved. I had to choose Seroptimus Go for Water. We are fighting to get gender equality, to get women into the water sector, but the water sector is still a male-dominated sector. And there's a deep connection between women and water. And we know that women are disproportionately affected by water and climate change with a devastating impact. We know the role of women as key water users. What we need to emphasize is that water is pivotal to the women's empowerment, that water enables women. We know that women have water knowledge, that they are water experts. And we also know that women are not invited at the decision-making table, at the designing table. They don't get the jobs. And that has to change, as it is both sensible and effective to include and to ensure that women participate at decision-making levels.
Marie, you just led perfectly right into the next question I was going to ask you, because that really is a different twist on water projects than Seroptimist had taken on before. Before, some of our very earliest projects were wells and sanitation, and they were really successful and important projects. But your emphasis on women, water, and leadership added some new direction, and I really want you to describe a little bit about what you we did in each of the countries that we worked in, and what that leadership focus was.
Yes, well, thank you for that question. The most important aim of the SI President's Appeal projects in general was for the women to rise out of poverty with Sustainable Development Goal 4, 5, and 6 taking center stage focus. I will come back to what Sustainable Development Goals mean. But in Kenya, we supported the Mahoko Women Group, enhancing access to education for girls, which is SDG 4, better education, for better school attendance and performance. So, access to clean drinking water and sanitation. Sanitation is toilets, very simple hygiene, preventing water related diseases, and contributing to a more sustainable environment. So, we gave the women vocational training in farming methods, which improved their yields tremendously. I mean, they had so much uh, yield that they could sell it. Most women are now, after our project, economically independent. And the whole school community, the household, the women, the municipalities all benefit from clean water facilities and, of course, the experience of the women.
I just want to interject, Marie, that when you told that story about the women in Kenya and the project that we did, one of the little images in my mind that was so sweet was these girls that came from a village for education to a university. And here they were, village girls in a university having a shower with running water and having food prepared for them. And then to top it all, education that improved the yield so tremendously because of the skills that were taught.
They were absolutely thrilled. And the main thing was they were respected. They were seen as experts and as people who could actually add to the knowledge of the students and the university professors. So it was really great. And in a way, if you look at Bulgaria, also in Bulgaria, we empowered women through vocational training. They didn't even know that they had rights. So water, sanitation, and health was very important for them because this was all in the rural areas. The awareness raising and capacity building programs that were implemented in our projects to support women to discuss local needs in depth. That was amazing. It opened their eyes, and skills training opened doors to jobs and career opportunities they don't have. And with this we wash, as we called it, awareness increased, and the valuable role of the women as experts and leaders in water, sanitation, and food security programs really increased. That was amazing. We managed to educate these women, and they are now plumbers, women bricklayers, and they don't see them as these jobs as male jobs anymore. So yeah, I really love Bulgaria as well because same thing. The women got so enthusiastic and worked hard and are sort of slowly getting economically independent, which is tremendous successful.
Did you want to tell us a little bit about the Malaysia project? But even there's another example of a non-traditional field that women learned about and then through learning contributed to society there.
Yes, because Malaysia, we had the main objective again was to bring clean water to two communities and improve the health and the well-being of the villages. And we wanted to preserve biodiversity by sustainable organic farming, and that was done. The women really worked hard. And secondly, because of that, we already had a project in Malaysia, and we hooked on to that to upgrade the welding skills of five Penang girls to become diploma level welders and to enable them to become welding inspectors and train women in organic farming and skills. Uh, the girls succeeded with distinctions. It was, of course, welding is a male dominated profession, and it was only the girls, not the boys, that got the distinction. So they were very proud of themselves. And so we supported that project, and at this moment they have super jobs in Kuala Lumpur. The women were so enthusiastic, and everyone helped. And in the beginning, the first time we asked them questions, they constantly looked over my head to their husbands like, am I allowed to answer that? And now you can see they just answer and they say, no, 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 we want it this way. And we found out this is a better way. And they really, really, they're empowered, full stop.
Right. And that's the intent. One of the things that we've talked about is the byproduct almost of every project we've done through Seroptimus is women getting more personal respect, and then also more respect from the areas they work, from their families, from their husbands, and in their communities. I know I'll never forget an experience I had in Bosnia where the head of the village told me how proud he was of the women and how much they contributed to the area. And called that's when partnership really can happen, when there's mutual respect. And going into that, you are the international president of Women for Water Partnership. And I know Seroptimists have been involved with them for a number of years with your connections, of course. What are some of the key issues that you're working on right now with that organization?
Well, Women for Water Partnership still focuses from the start on SDG 5, gender equality and the empowerment of women. And we link this SDG 5, the women, to SDG 6, which is water for all purposes. So it's water and sanitation, because without water there's no life. But water is also an easy entry point to empower these women, to empower women full stop. I'm empowered through water. We look at the sex aggregated data, which is a very complicated word, but it's really to see what are women involved in. We know we get results often from men, but did women get involved? Not only were they able to join meetings. If they were able to join meetings, were they also able to talk? If they were able to talk, were they also able to make a decision, to vote? So if we have those sex disaggregated data, then we can see how we make process. And that is really part of what we try to do. So making sure that there is water and sanitation for all people, for all purposes by 2030, this will help to future-proof global society against the many and the varied threats coming down the line. I mean, look at COVID. No water. How can you avoid COVID? So let's accelerate efforts. It's really needed. And Women for Water advocates for investing in water at the same time for investing in women. Because if you combine women and water, you will achieve eventually this SDG, these two SDGs, because they work together at the same time.
These SDGs are just not out of the air. They're there because without women being part of the partnership and part of the solution, we will continue to be in dire situation. I mean, every one of us has been impacted by the pandemic, and water has been such a crucial aspect, sanitation, that we've all thought about. Just imagine if you didn't have the easy access to sanitation that you have. And unfortunately, what 2/3 of our planet doesn't, of the population doesn't, in the rural areas particularly.
Well, and at the same time, every SDG is linked to water. I mean, and all the disasters happening are all water related. Even, I mean, your country had a lot of fires, wildfires. I mean, how do you stop them without water? I mean, the storms, the tsunamis, the earthquakes, everything is water related. So we really have to look at water at a wider aspect. I mean, not just wells, but wastewater. We are now going to also Women for Water. We are working on a World Water Development Report and supporting them, the UNESCO WOP, on this, on wastewater. Up to now, we still think that 90% of all the used water is going back into the ground without not, well, just not being treated. And we use that. We use that water again. And so we're really suddenly stunned that things like Flint happen. It's all to do with wastewater. So water is really is a huge thing.
Well, I can't believe it. You've once again expanded my thoughts about water and how crucial it is, and how crucial it is that women are at the table, in the decision making, in the careers. So we're at the end of this podcast, unfortunately, and there's so much more that I know that we want to learn about and contribute to this issue of water. What are some actions that you think are really important for our listeners to take away today?
Oh well, there is a lot to do, and I mean, for me, my goal is to build back better. That is what the UN wants, build back better by ensuring water and sanitation for all. And then hopefully by 2030. And Women for Water will take action. I will take action. We as Optimist, we as people who are interested in water, on whatever level, we can work out. And I would say, please join me in end of August in the Stockholm Water Week, where we have a session. It's called Women, Water, Climate, Tackling the Challenges, and we will publicize it. Everyone is able to register, everyone is able to join and come up with questions, come up and ask us questions what everyone can do, because that is what we want to achieve, to have an interactive discussion with the whole world. So I think that is maybe a takeaway.
Absolutely. You know, I will never forget going to the Philippines and being allowed to launch a potable drinking water station for the first time this village had ever had it. And it still makes me tear up about it because it was so precious and dear and important. But one of the elders said, having water is being human. And fresh water made them human. They could bathe, they could be refreshed, they could not spend their whole day chasing down water. They could actually do enterprises and work. So, Marie, you've brought so many different ideas to us, and some solutions and some needs. And I really, really appreciate you being here today. I hope we all start investigating in this and seeing what our part of the solution is. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It was fun, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
You've been listening to SI Voices, a podcast hosted by Seroptimist International. Follow us on social media for our latest news and updates at Seroptimist Global on Facebook and Instagram, and at SeroptaTweet on Twitter. You can also check out our website, seroptimistinternational.org. Please join us next time on SI Voices.